But people, RJ, people crazy in this world, man. Stay out that man fucking business. Period. They don't know that woman to be talking about she gold digger. And that shit crazy. That's crazy to me. I'm sorry to be feeling that way. It's crazy. What's going on? It's Keyshawn, and welcome to my show, All Facts and No Breaks. And don't forget to subscribe on YouTube. We still need to hit 100,000 before the Super Bowl. So, it's going to be a great show today. We got Fox Sports college football analyst RJ Young joining the show, which I love having him on every chance that we get because he's such a busy Oklahoma Sooner. So, what's up, RJ?
Chilling, Keyshawn. Appreciate you having me on, dog.
So Travis Hunter wins the Heisman over Aston Genty, Dylan Gabriel, and Cam Ward. My question for you, RJ, is do you think the right person won? It was the closest since Mark Ingram beat Toby Gerhart from Stanford.
Gerhart.
Yeah. So did you think that was the right decision, having Travis Hunter win the Heisman?
Yes, very loud, banging the drum on that one. Mm-hmm. It's very simple. We had not seen anyone do what Travis Hunter has done this season. He is one of the best receivers and one of the best cornerbacks in the entire country. As a matter of fact, you start stacking the accolades. I don't know that we're going to see another player quite like him. Over 1,100 yards receiving, 92 catches, 14 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, the forced fumble. The sheer amount of snaps he's played is one thing, but being productive with those snaps on a winning football team, that in and of itself, I thought was remarkable. And I chose to honor that, right? I chose that. I don't know that I'm ever going to get to see someone do what Travis Hunter has done, not because we don't have players that are capable, but because he was allowed to do that. And Deion trusted Travis to understand his body, to get in that hyperbaric chamber, to continue to produce over the course of this year. It was almost as if all he had to do was stay healthy, but that was the most difficult part, right? Was staying healthy for the entire season. And that dude just got gas. I kept expecting him to run out of gas. I kept expecting him to his body just to say, no, enough. You played the equivalent of 6 years of football the last 3 years. And his body didn't. And I'm glad that the Heisman voters saw it that way. Was it close? Yes. Was it closer than I thought it was going to be? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But I do believe that history's going to look back on this date and say, okay, yeah, y'all did this right. Y'all got this right.
You know, the crazy thing about it, RJ, and I bring myself into the fold, you go all the way back to high school. Those of us that can play both ways, we play both ways. It's just that the coaches, unlike Deion, didn't see it, right? They always say, well, he's better on this side of the ball or better than that side of the ball. I was recruited as a safety more so than I was as a wide receiver. We used me in college at times at the safety position, but they just didn't utilize you, right, the entire way. When you talk about Charles Woodson was the last guy that really played a little bit, both snaps, and that was way back in 1997, although Champ Bailey did a little bit of it in his own right, but you've had some guys do it here and there in college, but it's all about the coach making that decision that you can play a significant amount of time on both sides of the ball. They just, nowadays in high school, it's with large groups, you don't go both ways. It's either they got a defensive unit, they got an offensive unit, and that's just the way it's always been.
Do you guys think? Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was going to comment that, to your point, it is not about whether or not you think you can do it. I got the privilege of seeing Felix Jones and Robert Meacham both play in the same. One was free safety, one was strong. One was play wide receiver and running back on that same team. But it's more like I can't risk losing Keyshawn Johnson's ability at wide receiver. I can't risk it by having him throw his head in to play safety. I wanted to give coaches that much because I'm looking at that the same way. I'm going, Travis Hunter plays wide receiver for me. I don't know that I'm strong enough to say you get to go both ways, but because Prime had played both ways and knows what it takes and is looking for that work ethic in him, You were able to get that. But I did want to stick up for some of the coaches that are a little bit more conservative and go, hey, dog, you Keyshawn Johnson, I'm not about to have you out here playing safety and wide receiver. I need you catching touchdowns.
No, it's true. I mean, I get that, but my whole point is, if there are coaches that will allow you to do it, you're already mentally trained at an early age to be able to do it. With science and weightlifting and training and conditioning and all of those sort of things have changed over the years, there's plenty of guys that I think if a coach had the you-know-whats like a Prime, it would be so many kids. It would be so many kids that will line up and be like, man, I'm going to that school. Because Deion's going to give guys the opportunity that could actually be good. I'm not talking about a 30-catch guy on the offensive side of the ball. I'm talking about, like you said, a Biletnikoff winner. That's what I'm talking about. And a guy who probably should have won a Thorpe, even though he wasn't even in the finals, which is, I don't even know, asinine to me or whatever you want to call it. This is the craziest thing ever. Yeah. He wasn't even up for the Thorpe, but he won the Heisman, which is the most prestigious.
Defensive player of the year.
And the defensive player of the year award.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, yeah, defensive player. You know, I didn't go through spring practice, just so that you know, RJ. I didn't go through spring ball. I came over, and Coach Robinson, when I got there, spring, Coach Robinson saw me run around. I think I practiced 2 practices, and this is at a time when spring was long. JR, Coach Robinson was like, no, he's done for the spring. He's done.
Why?
Because he didn't like RJ said, he didn't want to risk losing me on the offenses. He just didn't want to get hurt. Literally 2 practices, Keyshawn. 2 practices. It was done. It's like, oh, yeah, nope, stand over here with us.
So after seeing Travis for 2 years at a high level doing this on offense and defense, do you guys think it's going to translate to the NFL? Both ways?
I think he will spot play in the National Football League. I don't think he'll get even though he wants to, because now it's high stakes, big money, like RJ is saying. It's just the risk factor in the NFL is a little bit different in college. I think he'll play both ways. It just won't be 160 plays a game.
But what about 60 or 70 or 80 or 90?
Yeah, he could do 60 or 70 easy.
Okay.
Because he already gonna play 60 plays on defense, 55, 60 plays on defense. And then you give him a package on offense.
RJ, what do you think?
I think we live in a space where they assign your value to your position. And that value is monetary. I think that if we are looking around and we're asking who the highest paid cornerback is and who the highest paid wide receiver is, we're going to see one hell of a difference, okay? So number one, if you're going to draft him, he's going to say, you're going to draft me at wide receiver. I want to play cornerback. I think most people would tell you he's going to walk into anybody's wide receiver room and be one of your 3 best wide receivers. Is he going to be your number 1? Maybe, maybe not. Is he going to be your number 2? Probably. Is he going to be your number 3? Well, if he's your number 3, you really damn good. You probably the Minnesota Vikings somewhere along that those lines. But Jalen Ramsey got to be looking at everybody else going, damn, you telling me if I play receiver, I'd be making this much more money? Now, that aside, I think it comes back to who's going to be his head coach. And this is where I expect Prime to jump in. Because remember, Prime didn't even take meetings with people that didn't have picks inside the top 10. It's like, I'm not going to be around for that. Why am I going to be talking to you? They've already said, we are looking for the right situation for these players being Shador and Travis. And there are going to be some teams that just do not fit the criteria because they're going to say, hey, we want you to play corner or we want you to play wide receiver. They're not going to come up with a package that is all-inclusive and allows for Travis Hunter to be Travis Hunter wherever he goes in the National Football League. I think there are a couple of places that could happen, but I don't think there are as many as people think.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned Prime and not taking the meetings. I did the same thing, 2 teams. That was it. Jacksonville and Jets.
Oh, Jacksonville.
That was it. You at 9, man, ain't no need of me talking to y'all. Y'all wasting my time. That's what I told the New York Giants. They wanted me to take that test. Said, first of all, y'all picking at 5. I won't even be there for me to sit down and take this test. It's not going to happen. But Deion did the same thing. Carl Pickens did the same. Like a lot of guys wouldn't take.
What was the lowest that you thought you would be? Or did you just
2.
say, 2?
I knew I was either going
Who would have been 1 besides you? Lawrence Phillips, maybe.
I mean, it just depends on what the needs was going to be. Oh, you mean with the Jets would have taken?
Yeah, that's what I
It
meant.
came down to me and Lawrence Phillips, but the owner made the decision on the safer bet in terms of personality and society and those sort of things. When they did the Dick Haley and Shaq Harris were running the whole deal. Shaq Harris, former quarterback, great black quarterback.
Grambling State.
Grambling State, the Rams,
James
the whole
Shaq
deal.
Harris.
And so he sat down and talked to Leon Hess, and they gave him all the pros and the cons of Lawrence Phillips versus me, pros and cons, me versus him. And the owner said, we'll take it, Keyshawn.
Got it.
That was it.
The last thing on Travis, there was a little girlfriend drama. I don't know if you guys saw that. You're not really into social media.
No,
but
I saw it.
How do you guys feel about that? What do you
Stay out that man fucking business. That's what I say.
Okay.
That's what I say. Like, leave that man alone, man. These are what I call kids.
But to be fair, he's putting their business out as well for like social media to see.
How? Because he with his girl.
He's like telling us what she's doing. Like, oh, she's crying, she's drinking.
No. This was after the fact, though.
Yeah.
She, according to what I heard him say, she, in a jokingly manner with him, is like, oh yeah, she basically drunk herself to sleep because she got tired of hearing all the bullshit of these stupid motherfuckers on social media.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I don't pay attention to that shit. That's why I don't read those comments, RJ. I don't pay attention. And for them to be trying to pick and say she mad or this and that, because that's not what was going on. That man just told you what was going on. Yeah. You've been with me at many events. And I'm taking pictures and trying to talk to y'all to tell y'all, go back to the hotel room. Y'all sitting around here, we not doing nothing. Like, y'all just sitting here wasting time. Why don't y'all just go back to the hotel and lay down as a family or go do something else instead of sitting here watching me take pictures with people?
Right.
That's all that man is saying. But people, RJ, people crazy in this world, man. Stay out that man fucking business. Period. They don't know that woman to be talking about she no gold digger. That shit crazy. That's crazy to me. I'm sorry to be feeling that way. It's crazy.
I tend to look at it this way. Is that your queen? If that's your queen, then that's your queen, right? Wherever you go, she the queen. So you take care of her. You protect her. She protects you. If you keep it that simple, everything's going to be all right. I don't really like getting into people's personal relationships, especially as they're celebrities who are forming their identities in real time. I remember CeeDee Lamb snatching phones out of his girlfriend's hand. And I'm like, yo, or we got some girlfriend sitting on somebody's lap and mama going to get up out this lap. You wouldn't treat your queen that way. That's all I'm saying. If you wouldn't treat your queen that way, then don't treat her that way. For me, that's it. I don't want to go no further into it except to say, hey, that's his queen. Let's treat her like his queen.
Right.
There you go.
They're getting married soon, so I feel
let that man be happy.
Right. So moving on to Bill Belichick, he signed a 5-year, $50 million deal with UNC. He's their next head coach. Were you guys surprised? And if not, how do you guys feel about it?
Yeah, no, I was surprised. I was surprised. You know, I felt he was going to be an NFL coach because there were going to be some jobs available. But I do think he'll do a tremendous job in college football. He's got enough friends, whether it's Greg Schiano at Rutgers or whether it's Nick Saban, who was at Alabama, coached at LSU, coached at Michigan State. Coaches coach. They can coach no matter what the situation is, as long as they surround themselves around the right people and the right staff. His biggest challenge, and RJ, you could chime in on this one, his biggest challenge to me is going to be relating and recruiting and understanding how the recruiting game goes, and for him to hire the right people in his staff. And I said this, and I'll say it again. I said it on Speak, and I'll say it again for our show on All Facts and No Breaks, is that he needs to make sure to hire relatable black young coaches to be able to go into communities, because your team makeup will be predominantly African-American. And you need to be able to talk to the mothers and the daddies and let them know across the country that their kid will be safe with you. He has to be able to hire. You can't go up in there with all them old ass coaches from the NFL. That ain't gonna work. You gotta get you some young go-getters that resonate. They got, some of them brothers with them tattoos.
And you were receiving backlash for that, which makes no sense to me. But no, come on, we've been recruited. You understand it, obviously.
Absolutely.
Like, It is what it is, but
I don't care about backlash because those people don't understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
The first thing they start saying is it's race bait. They
Yeah.
don't fucking get it.
Mhm.
You sending me a 65-year-old white dude to sit in my living room in South Central Los Angeles.
Yeah,
That's
to talk
not gonna
to-
work.
To Granny, it's
not gonna work,
Yeah.
man. It ain't gonna work.
Respectfully.
You can
Yeah.
come with him, but you can't have you at 72 and then a 45-year-old
Yeah,
white
make
dude
sure to
sitting
bring
in
the
my
assistant
living
coach.
room
Yeah.
in my projects trying to recruit me. It just doesn't work like that.
Mhm.
You gotta have some of those things, but people they don't get it. They don't understand it.
Do you
They
think
just
he
don't.
will though? Do you
Yeah, I think he will 100%.
Okay.
He's already chasing at the according to reports that's out there. RJ, he's already going after the Kentucky dude who's a brother who is like Kentucky's top recruiter.
Mhm.
So he gets it. He understands it. Backlash. Stop reading the comments, man. Don't pay that shit no attention.
I don't know, man. Like sometimes the comments got some wisdom in there, and the comments are folks that are college football fans that love college football, and they got their opinions about the NFL. They got their opinions about Bill Belichick. Where I come at this is a little bit differently, right? It's not about whether or not he's a 72-year-old white dude, because he is. It's, can I relate to you? Mac Brown, real good at this. Nick Saban has my favorite story. Mark Spears was top tight end prospect at the time in the state of Louisiana. His parents worked at Southern. And Nick Saban came down. He said, hey, look, Marcus, I can't let you leave the state. And he said, Coach, you ain't got to worry about that. I'm going to Southern. So Nick Saban needed to convince Mark Spears to come play for him at LSU. And we know what LSU has become. It's because of what Nick Saban was able to do.
Right.
I don't think that it's really that simple, that complex. I think you go up to Tidewater, you're going to go get you some hitters because that's what they make. They make dudes that can go play, from Dre Bly to Allen Iverson to Mike Vick. You can go get dudes. I think the problem that you're going to run into, and I'm going to take it back to just the sport here, can Bill Belichick do in 2 years what Deion Sanders has done in 2 years? Because that would impress me. Can
Right.
you win 9 games and put a Heisman Trophy winner out there? Can you do that? Because if you could do that in North Carolina, cool. But the reason that he got this job is because college football is taking on more of the NFL's likeness, right? And we're getting to a salary cap, right? We're trying to figure out the calendar. We are extending our playoff to look a little bit more like a tournament, a actual one that crowns a real champion. This is why you brought Bill Belichick in. The problem that I think you're also going to run into is, how much is this man willing to sell your program? Because that has been the thing that I really didn't like about watching all these New England Patriots teams. They're not fun. And you need to be fun and open and ingratiating to an alumni base that wants to give you their money, but you need to give them a reason to, which means that man gonna have to smile. He gonna have to smile. He gonna have to tell some jokes. He gonna have to be jovial. To your point of he needs to be able to sit in the living room. My favorite story about Barry Switzer. He would walk into your house and take his shoes off and help your mama cook the meal. That ain't got nothing to do except with looking around going, what's the lay of the land here? Is she running things? Cool. Let me go talk to her. Let me get in this gumbo. Hey, with paprika, you need it? Oh, you got it? You good? Street. Can I cut up these tomatoes over here? What can I do to make your life a little bit easier? Because I don't think they want to know that you're going to take care of their boy. I want to know that.
No,
I think they want to know that you are one of their boys. Like he can man, Keyshawn, nothing charged me up more than seeing a man that should not be shaking my hand trying to dap me up. If you try to shake my hand and you ain't dap me up, I can't trust you. Those are the things that I'm looking for Bill Belichick.
Well, all that, what I said and what you said, though, you got to put all that together. You said Barry Switzer, paprika, right? Being able to walk in, he can do that. Bill Belichick is dry as a bone. He can't go in there with duplicates of himself.
He's got
to go in there with the right spices.
Right, exactly.
Is my whole point, RJ. See, and Barry Switzer recruited me. Okay?
Let me ask a question.
I get all of that. You got to go in there a certain way. When you're not, but you're not going in there by yourself. Usually, the position coach, the area coach starts off the recruiting. You're going in there to close the deal. But if you're going in there to close the deal and you're not saying much, you're going to turn everybody off. Nick Saban figured that out fast, quick, in a hurry. Nick Saban knows how to close the deal. My son sat across from Nick Saban in his office and showed all the rings and
8 rings on
all of that sort of stuff. But he also had a primary recruiter in Lane Kiffin that got it. Lane got it because Lane out west recruiting the SC knows what to do and how to do it. My whole point of saying this is he cannot go in there with duplicates of himself trying to get deals done because it's not going to happen. NIL ain't going to be enough because everybody got NIL money now.
I don't see it that way. I think you're going to have to, your soup is going to be mixed up. It's going to have to be. Fran Brown's a great example at Georgia, right? He's at Syracuse now. He got the sauce you're talking about. My question for you is, how many of them dudes on them staffs going to know what chitlins are?
Yeah,
Huh?
Chitlins.
How about
You
I hope
had chitlins, Keyshawn?
Which Keyshawn?
The big Keyshawn.
I had him as a kid.
As a kid?
As a kid.
So you
I
can't
wouldn't
clean
touch
them
that.
and eat them right now?
I wouldn't touch that shit with a 10-foot pole, man.
Yeah.
That's slave food. I don't eat that shit. I don't eat that.
What?
If
I
you
didn't
like,
know
if you
no- I
like
didn't know no-
chitlins, go to
I didn't
Steve
know
O's
no
Grill
better
Cafe.
as a kid, RJ. I wouldn't touch that shit.
It's disgusting. It's so
It's
bad.
the worst. But you from down in that area.
Hey, watch stuff now.
Man, I say that y'all eat raccoon and squirrel and all that, right?
All right.
Right?
Right.
We don't.
Ain't but a short walk over there to LA. You know that,
No,
right? 'Cause I'll bring you a plate.
Look,
I'll bring you a plate.
You sound like Michael Irvin. Michael Irvin was telling me about chitlins today because Jerry Jones was talking about eating raccoon and squirrel and stuff. And I said, man, I got squirrels crawling my tree every day, all day. Why the hell would I eat that? That's so gross.
Hey, man, you get to the end times, you might
Chitlins
need
is
me.
different.
Yeah,
Chitlins is
you might
different.
need me.
We
Chitlins
don't
is-
really even eat pork in my family, though. So, I'm a West Coast dude, though. Out here, it's hard. We looking at avocado toast, man.
RJ, you mentioned Michael Vick. He's reportedly in talks with Sac State and Norfolk State about being their new head coach. We also talked about players becoming coaches. He hasn't ever been a coach anywhere. Do you think this would be a good hire for them?
Yeah, no, I'm excited about that idea. I also think that Mike Vick got a little stroke to him. Like, long as he gonna be taking people like earned money in that episode of Atlanta, I'm all right with it. If you go out there to the Bay, you want to make it happen, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
For those of y'all that don't know, you just don't know. That's on you. That ain't on me. But I like the idea of him in Norfolk State, but I like the idea of him in Sacramento State more because Sacramento State's trying to make a leap to the FBS.
Mm-hmm.
They're trying to do it with a big name head coach. We know what kind of a player Michael Vick was, and I think we know what kind of a coach he might be, and we know what kind of lessons he can teach and he can relay. I'm just curious to see if it ends up being Sac State, if it ends up being Norfolk State, what the staff looks like, and how quickly he can put something together. Because once again, who is he learning from, right? Because we see these players that believe they can do what Prime has done at Colorado, Jackson State. Eddie George is still trying to figure that part out. You know what I'm saying? TC Taylor figured out how to do this at Jackson State, watching Deion do this at Jackson State. I just want to know who his mentors are and who he's going to be leaning on as he's trying to get as he gets one of these jobs and then gets going.
I think, everybody poor me, I probably should have looked it up before I came in. But I think Vic coached with Brad Childress in one of them, like one of those leagues or something for like a quick second. I believe he did dabble in coaching for a quick minute, but whether or not he did, I think if he hires the right, I'd rather see him at Sac State anyway, like you said, FBS, whether it's the Pac-12 or the Big West, whatever the case may be.
They got some NIL money well.
They say they claim they got NIL money of $50 million in the pool. I think he can do it. And I always tell people, to be honest with you, man, Mike Vick was a player. He understands what winning is all about. He took his team to the national title, although Florida State got the best of him. Was it Florida? Florida State got the best of him.
Florida State, you got it.
He took his team there. He's been around. He's been coaching basically his entire professional career. You are coaching as a quarterback. Mm-hmm. You're coaching. You're putting people in right positions and doing the right things. If you surround,
who coached you?
Huh?
Who coached you?
Which one of your quarterbacks? Is that what you're
Well, which one of my quarterbacks? I mean,
which one of your quarterbacks
I basically was the quarterback. I played all the positions at the skill position. So I basically was a quarterback. But, because I lined up at every position. So I knew everything. I knew the front. I knew the protections. I knew what everybody route was supposed to be, where the backs was protecting. I just knew our offenses, no matter what team it was on. That's why I lined up in so many different spots. But I think Michael Vick, if given the opportunity, could be successful at doing it. Deion is successful at doing it because he got the opportunity to do it, whether it started at the high school level and then morphed into Jackson State, which then turned into Colorado, but he got the opportunity. If you never give somebody opportunity, how you gonna know? I mean, you know, if SC came calling me, I would have to think about it next year. I would have to think about it. No, I'm not throwing my hat in the ring, but I would have to think about it. I would literally have to think about it. And I would go out and hire the right people around me to get the job done. It's not as hard as you want it to be. Because I know what I should be doing based on my scouting on third down. I know who is good and who I should be playing and getting the football. That's why I got a staff of people. That's why we meet every day. I just don't want to coach because it's all day gone from your fat. It's just too much, man. You're spending 13, 14 hours a day in the damn office.
I think he'd be
Sounds like a job.
Sound like a job. See, I ain't got no job right now.
I think he'd be really relatable too, though, because he was in the NFL, he was in college.
Absolutely.
You know, so
I hope he.
Nah,
dog.
I disagree with that.
Why?
I disagree with that.
You don't think he's relatable
to a high school athlete?
Yeah.
to a high school athlete? The Vick
let me-
experience.
Let me walk it out. All right.
Mhm.
Keyshawn, you are not relatable. Okay. Deion Sanders is not relatable. Mike Vick is not relatable. Two things. One, we got rules for Mike Vick, Deion Sanders, Keyshawn Johnson. We got rules for everybody else. And if you ain't been everybody else, you are not relatable. By definition, you have to make yourself relatable, meaning that man going to have to pick up Madden with him on the cover and let them boys beat him up. He's going to have to make himself into a person and not a demigod, because the same Mike Vick you talking about that lost to that Florida State team blew out 2 different ACLs in that game with his juking and jiving. That's what he was able to do. He made Vitek into Vitek. I still can't believe it. You had basically 2 offers for Mike Vick, Vitek and East Carolina. That can't happen today. It would never happen today. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that a star coach is going to be relatable to players because he ain't been a player. He's always been a star. You have to work so hard to make yourself into the kind of person that they feel they can both challenge and accept. You know, one of the things that I think is cool about your show is that your boy knows you and you know your boy. He is not Keyshawn Johnson, or you are not Keyshawn Johnson to him. You know what I mean? That's dad. I've always loved that. When you have that relationship as a coach, you can go do some magical things. But I'm not going to look as the rube here. I'm going to tell you, it's going to take a little time for people to rough you up, and you get to rough them up before they are going to trust you.
Yeah, no, I just meant, like, you know, he's been at the top, like you said, and then he had his situation with the dogs, and then Helen back, coming back, and now being a head coach. It's just, it's a story. It's something you could talk. I don't know. Yeah.
It's not relatable.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like to your point, Helen back, we talk now, we're getting into the Odyssey. Now we're getting into Odysseus. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
We're getting into some mythological stuff here very quickly. That's what I'm saying. You're gonna have to tamp it back. You're gonna have to make Mike Vick into a dude, which is why I brought up the Atlanta part. He was racing dudes for money. So who thinks they gonna beat Mike Vick in a foot race? But he was doing it. You know what I'm saying? With the hat on backwards and everything. Doing it with Donald Glover. That was cool. That made Mike Vick into a person. The things that make Deion into a person. Same. I mean, look, how you gonna cover somebody with 9 toes? You know what I'm saying? He doesn't run anymore. He can't run anymore. You know, he's really laid back. He's really just become not just an old head, but something like a granddad. You know what I'm saying? He just got done telling, I think it was Adam Jones, I plan to coach all the way through to Colorado. I think he's settled. If we see that part of Mike Vick, yeah, it's going to be magical. But again, what you're going to relate to is what kind of a football coach he's going to be. Because if you start trying to relate to the man that Mike Vick is, that's a really difficult hill to climb because he's the only person to climb it.
This episode of All Facts, No Breaks is presented by Color Guard. As my listeners may know, a few of my family and close friends have undergone battles with various forms of cancer, so increasing awareness around the importance of cancer screenings is very personal to me. And on that note, today I want to tell you about the Color Guard test, which is a great use at-home option to screen for colon cancer. The Color Guard test is one-of-a-kind way to feel more in control of your colon cancer screenings through a prescription-based test with none of the prep that's required in a colonoscopy. It is the only FDA-approved non-invasive screening test that looks for both altered DNA and blood in your stool. What I want my listeners to know is that colon cancer screenings are crucial for early detection because many patients with early-stage colon cancers have no symptoms at all and are diagnosed through a preventative screenings. And for my listeners in their late 40s who think this doesn't apply to them, guess what? The American Cancer Society recommends that if you are at average risk, you begin screening for colon cancers at age 45. We're not talking 50 or 55 here, people. When it comes to staying on top of your health, the time is now. Plus, the Cologuard test doesn't just offer convenience and ease of use, it's also affordable. Most insured patients pay $0 with zero downtime, no special preparation, and use at home screening tests that deliver right to your door. It's delivered right to your door. There's no reason that we should let our health take a back seat. What are we waiting for? So if you're 45 or older and at average risk, ask your healthcare provider about screening for colon cancer with the Cologuard test. You can also request a Cologuard prescription through a telehealth provider today at Cologuard.com/podcast. The Cologuard test is intended to screen adults 45 and older at average risk for colorectal cancer. Do not use Cologuard test if you have had an anomalous, have inflammatory bowel disease, and certain hereditary syndromes, or a person or family history of colorectal cancer. The Cologuard test is not a replacement for colonoscopy in high-risk patients. Cologuard test performance in adults ages 45 to 49 is estimated based on a large clinical study of patients 50 and older. False positives and false negatives can occur. Cologuard is available by prescription only.
All right, well, Friday, college football playoff starts. Do you think the committee got all the rankings right?
No, I don't.
Which ones do you think are wrong, I guess?
So we got Boise State as a 3 seed.
Yeah.
In only in this dimension, only in this world does that happen. And if I had a time stone, I would go fix this quick, fast, and in a hurry. You can't convince me that Boise State is a higher seed than the University of Texas. You can't convince me that Boise State is a better football team than the University of Tennessee, than than Ohio State University, Penn State University. You're not going to convince me of that. And you're certainly not going to do that playing in the Mountain West. That's just not what this is, okay? We got levels to this. So just like we got levels to everything else.
Who do you
and
think,
you know what?
Who do you think should have got Boise State's spot then over him?
Texas.
Okay.
Texas should have got the spot. But the way we make the rules, it was going to be Boise State. It's your 4 highest ranked conference champions, right? And everybody thought that meant the 4 power conference champions.
That's what I thought.
No, negative. I think we're going to see a little bit more leeway to seed these teams differently or reseed them as we go, because you know what I know. You put that Ohio State roster up against that Boise State roster, Ohio State's going to be a 3-touchdown favorite, and that's not what a 3 seed should be.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, RJ. I can go as far as Indiana. Even though Indiana didn't win the Big Ten Conference, Boise State can't beat Indiana, man. They're not going to beat them. They're not strong enough, so to speak. Then you talked about Tennessee, hell, Clemson. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And it's nothing against Boise State with a phenomenal running back. I get it. But they don't belong at the number 3 seed. They just don't. But the rules say that they do.
Okay, my question, RJ, is do you think that SMU should have got in? Oh, they got in. Do you think over Alabama? Do you think that was the right move?
It was the right move. I can't get with Alabama crying on this one.
Right.
Look. All you had to do was beat the University of Oklahoma at Oklahoma.
Crazy.
But all you do is come down to Oklahoma to get that ass beat. That's what happens every time they come.
He couldn't
I'm
wait.
saying they
Yeah,
came
he wanted
2003.
to say that. That was his Super Bowl.
His chest out.
Dude,
I mean, hey, look. It's been a trying year for your mans. Okay,
I get it.
It's been a hard year for your man. Everybody hurt. Everybody trying to get up out of here. You know, I was expecting us to get rolled over. 3 touchdowns though. Jalen Milroe throwing that ball to those Oklahoma Sooners. I had a great night. But the point there being, all you had to do was beat Oklahoma, beat Auburn, and you play in the SEC championship, and you get into the college football playoff. You know what Southern Methodist did? Undefeated in their conference. Is their conference schedule weak? Absolutely. Are they going to beat Penn State? Probably not. But I needed SMU to get.
I'm betting that SMU beat Penn State. I'll take that bet.
Have you seen the weather?
Oh, wait, where's it the game at? At Penn State?
It's at Beaver Stadium. This is State College.
You just are yelling. I'm taking that
degrees,
bet. Now I gotta think. He's
No,
like,
the weather.
They got Cage Rydell and Nick Singleton running the ball.
Thinking about the weather. I wasn't thinking about
I'm thinking about the
No,
all
I
these
wasn't.
games
I
are
wasn't. I
outdoors,
just wasn't
dog.
thinking about the weather. I was just thinking about the schools and me watching Penn State struggle against USC. And I know you know how I feel about USC being a dog versus me watching SMU and how they play.
SMU can fly.
That's why I was like, well, I mean, if the weather
So
clear up, I ain't worried about the cold.
let me see if I can't convince you. Let me see if I can't convince you. Okay. Southern Methodist didn't play Miami, played Clemson and lost, didn't play Georgia Tech. Okay. They losses to BYU, a BYU team we thought was good, but didn't make the Big 12 championship game. And as the season went on, they crept into the top 10. They couldn't fly that high, right? I think SMU and BYU are about the same level of school, right? Little bit better than Arizona State, maybe a little bit worse. You could pick one. I wouldn't care because I don't think either one of those teams going to win the national championship. Meanwhile, you got an SMU team that's been playing in Dallas. Now, granted, they've been having to fly all around the country. That's going to have to go north of the Mason-Dixon line to play at Penn State in a whiteout in bad weather in December on a team that lives to throw the football all around the field against a team that lives to run the football and play hard-nosed defense. It's just not a recipe for success for Rhett Lashley and the Mustangs. Plus, Penn State has to win this game. They must win it. Do you know what it will be like for James Franklin and the Nittany Lions if they take a loss to SMU Mustangs at home?
You act like Nick Saban and Pete Carroll coaching Penn State. James Franklin is the coach.
Yeah, same dude that put Micah Parsons in the league and Journey Brown at NASCAR and Saquon Barkley into the league. You don't need me to keep going?
I'm talking about the talent of the player helping themselves get to the league. I'm talking about big games. That's what I'm talking about.
I see what you're saying. All right, so the thing you need to take into account here is James Franklin got a great record. He got a great record against teams that ain't ranked outside the top 5. If you're in the top 5,
your name's Ohio State.
Yeah, you're probably gonna beat him. Probably gonna beat him.
Yeah.
But you know what? SMU is not a top 5 team. They'll win that football game. It's when they got to go play Ohio State, Oregon again that you get to short.
I can't trust James Franklin because they almost lost to USC. I can't do it.
But they didn't lose to USC.
Yeah, but our coach, come on, man. I don't want to get into that. It ain't like
we'll get into USC.
It's not like we good, and it's not like our coach is good. It's not like our recruiting is good. So I'm not getting ready to hold him up to high standards, beating USC. USC.
Tyler Warner was out there like, why they got Keyshawn's number up there? They need to have my number up there. I had 17 catches. I had 224 yards. I'll run Coliseums now.
Yeah, exactly. A tight end that couldn't. Man, don't get me started. Man, dude moving so slow. I'm like, how y'all just let this dude do this to y'all? He's like, come on, man, stop it.
So my question, RJ, do you think it's rewarding to get the number 1 seed because Oregon has to play the winner of Tennessee and Ohio State, right? That's not an easy feat. And Indiana, Notre Dame, they play Georgia. I think Georgia, in my opinion, has the easiest route to the national championship. So what do you think about the format? Do you think it's flawed?
I think the format is flawed. I think the way that the bracket is set up is we can make Georgia into having the easiest road to the national championship game.
Right.
I always wanted the 5 seed. I understand that there are folks that want the extra week of rest, but I want the home game and I want the weakest possible opponent. And that's what you get as the 5 seed. The home game and the weakest possible opponent, depending on how they seed the game.
Yeah, you just play one extra game.
I think we need to have much more transparency about how we seed the games. But in this instance, Notre Dame has got everything they wanted. And I don't like it when Notre Dame gets everything they want. I think Notre Dame is the billionaire that doesn't pay taxes. You ain't got to play a conference championship game, but we're going to treat you like you did. You lost to directional Illinois, but we're going to say it's all right. We're going to give you in Indiana at home in the snow. For real, on a Friday night where you're the only thing on television? Nah, dog. I want the 5 seed. I always want the 5 seed, right?
So you believe the 5 seed's the best seed?
Right.
The,
Well, excuse
okay.
me. I guess Texas would be the 5 seed this year. My
Okay.
bad. My fault.
think-
But
I
yes,
think
the 5
You
seed
just
is
play
better.
one
action.
extra game, but
Texas got
you get the
action, though.
12, and then you play the 3, right?
You have the easiest road to getting there. And by the time you got to play the number 1 team in the country, they've already played a game,
yeah.
so that bye week
Play the 4.
is null and void. That's the thought.
Yeah. That's crazy. But yeah, do you think the committee overvalues conference championships?
I think they had to. It's in the criteria. Like that's something you can fix. You can fix that. All you have to do is say, hey, if you win your conference championship in these Power 4, you get an automatic bid to the playoff, not an automatic top 4 seeding. That's easy. You can fix that. You can even extend it going to 5 highest ranked conference champions, right? So you still give the incentive. I think the problem that we ran into that we thought we were going to have is you would have teams that started to believe that the conference championship wasn't as important as what your seeding might be in the playoff. And you need that game to remain very, very competitive, and you need people to want to win it. That's why we got to watch something called the NBA Cup now, because the regular season doesn't matter. That's what college football is trying to avoid. I think that we erred a little too far in the wrong direction. We can bring that a little back a little bit. As long as we can get rid of that part, I think the format's just fine.
Okay. What are your predictions? You know, I have Oregon. I've had them since week 1. What do you guys think?
Man, I'm going with Texas.
To win the national championship? Or
Yes, to win the national championship. Sorry about that. Yeah.
I mean, the sexy thing, the unsexy thing is to pick Oregon. Because, 1 seed, 13-0. But against teams that are good, they 1-score games. Talk about 8 points total. Hell, give me Georgia. Let's mix it up.
You've been saying Georgia for
Georgia and Ohio State. That's the game I want. I still think that game's on the table. I think both of those programs are good enough to beat Oregon. Ohio State showed that. And Georgia also is not for nothing. They beaten Texas when Texas has been full up twice.
Yeah,
I could see that happening a third time, given what that defense is capable of.
But how do you feel about
only thing that
Carson Beck? He's out, right? He has this elbow
but Gunnar
injury.
Stockton is in.
You like him over? You think that's good? You think that's a good thing?
I think Gunnar Stockton gives you an ability to move around and take care of your quarterback in a way that Carson Beck does not. It's what people are talking about when they talk about Kirk Cousins playing football. It's not so much who he's throwing the ball to. It's that boy's a statue back there. Don't move. Same thing with Carson Beck. Gunnar Stockton's out there at least making something happen, and he's got a cannon for an arm. And any quarterback that is willing to run headfirst into somebody got my respect, and I want to run for him. Is it a smart decision? No. And he's probably not going to do it again. But I think Gunnar Stockton is ready for this moment, and it's not going to be the setback that people think it is.
Texas, baby.
Well, speaking of Texas, there's rumors that Quinn Ewers might opt out of the draft to transfer. Do you think that's fact or fiction? Do you think he'll do that, or he'll just go get the money?
I think it's possible. I think if he wins the national championship, he out. Right? That's what that is. I think that because there is so much money available to a quarterback of his caliber, it's not out of the realm of possibility, and it makes good business sense. What I tell the kids when they ask me these questions is the NFL money is not going anywhere for you who is going to get drafted on day 1, day 2. It's not. It's going to be the same when you get there.
Right.
What you're not going to be able to get back is this extra year of playing ball and this extra year of taking this money and putting it in an IRA or in a hedge fund and letting it go do what it do, baby. Go do that. Go do what Dylan Gabriel did. Do what Cam Ward did. Go into the transfer portal, see what you can get. And you know what? If you think you can't get anything better, go to the NFL. But if you think that there's still something there for you to do and something for you to prove, 7 figures for you to put in your pocket, just good business sense. Don't be stupid about your business.
Yeah, it just depends on what he is looking to do. He could transfer. Texas can give him more NIL money to come back, but then they got Manning waiting in the wings. Do they rather play Manning or him next year? Is his draft stock dropped significantly based on this season? It's just all those sort of things that he has to look at. Transferring solely for NIL money is the stupidest thing I ever heard of.
So many
You
people
sound like
do
somebody
it.
got money to me.
But
You sound like somebody got
that's
money to me.
stupid to me.
A lot of people do it.
Because no, but you gotta look. Chasing the small bag when you can get to the big bag is the dumbest thing ever. Because NIL money is not going to be so significant that you're going to look at and go, ooh, I'm set for the rest of my life. If you at Texas and you under Steve Sarkisian and you're the starting quarterback right now, unless you think that Arch Manning is going to get the nod in the spring and they're going to force you to sit on the bench your senior year, that's a different conversation. But to leave to go somewhere just to get the money, that's not a smart business
I don't know what a small
decision.
bag to you is, though, because I've been seeing reports, like, I don't know how true it is, but they're in the millions. Like,
what they will do is they will tell you. Now, having a collective and being part of collective that at USC and paying players, I understand that the reports could say one thing, but you're not getting that money. You got to finish the deal. Like the kid that went from LSU to Michigan and got $10 million, that's not $10 million a day. That's $10 million over 5 years. By the time he get to that 5th year, that means he ain't no good. He a backup or he transferred. He ain't never going to see the $10 million. He may get $1.5 million to $2 million to $3 million, maybe even $4 million. And that's okay. But he's a freshman.
right.
He's not a junior going to be a senior. See, if you're a freshman going into a school because they're going to give you X amount of money, reportedly, that's okay. But leaving to go into a portal, that's the dumbest, and you're a starter and a star. That's the dumbest thing I ever hear when they say that.
Keyshawn,
go ahead.
Keyshawn, these boys ain't got no credit. Okay.
Risk.
Risk. Let me talk about the 99% over here. Just for a second. Okay.
Yeah, think back when you were in high school or you were
They ain't got no credit.
You're talking
in West
about
LA.
high school.
At West LA. At West
They
LA.
ain't got no savings.
West LA.
Different. West LA's different. That's different. I'm not leaving USC as the number one player as a junior to now all of a sudden go to Oklahoma because Oklahoma's giving me $2.5 million and SC only gave me $1 million when I'm getting ready to be the number one pick in the draft. If I'm Dylan Gabriel's not going to be a top quarterback drafted. So it's okay for him to leave Oklahoma to go get a bigger bag at Oregon because Oregon is probably paying him more money than he's going to make in the NFL.
Right.
That's the difference.
I don't think that's true either.
That is so true. That's beyond true.
The reason I don't think that is true is because you can make even more in the endorsements that you're going to get as a professional because there's only so much money you can get paid under the salary cap that is both in the NFL and in college football. There's always going to be more advertising dollars associated with the National Football League than there is Oregon football.
You're not making, RJ, you're not making any money as a 5th round pick in the National Football League. All in advertisement. Not going to happen. And furthermore, there's only a handful of guys in the National Football League that is utilized in the national campaigns. There's only a handful. That's it.
So I could talk to you about digital marketing. I could talk to you about local advertising. I could talk to you about HVAC services. I could talk to you about car dealerships, but I won't. Okay? What I will talk to you about is creating the nest egg that is your passive income for when your knees and your back are gone. And the players that you're talking about right now in their very early 20s are playing at the peak of what they're going to be physically. Mentally, not so much. They're going to get there. Okay. But by the time they hit 25, all of these reflexes and everything they know how to do athletically starts to go down the tubes. You need to have this money put away. You need to have this money where you can't touch it for a little while, and you need to stack as much of it as you can. Because, yeah, I love watching you play ball. And I love the idea of you not leaving SC because what's another $1 million to you? But for those of us that did grow up
that's my whole
without your abilities, we're looking at this and we're asking, why aren't you doing what I would do, which is pay off the house, pay off the car?
But that's
don't make sure that's taken care of.
About Dylan Gabriel. Dylan Gabriel can leave Oklahoma to go to Oregon. It makes all the sense in the world. He's going to make more money at Oregon than he is in the National Football League. Quentin, how you say his last name?
Ewers.
Quentin Ewers shouldn't leave Texas unless he goes somewhere that he thinks is going to develop his skills. At the top of the season, he was projected as one of the top 3 quarterbacks ready for the 2025 NFL draft. His draft stock may have slipped a little bit.
Second round maybe now.
Okay, so second round.
Yeah.
So let's say second round. That's no reason to go to another school to chase $1 million.
He also got
no
the
sense.
Manning like behind his neck. So that,
No, if Manning is behind your neck, go ahead and go to NFL.
okay,
Because if you
yeah.
go to another school and it don't work out the way that you wanted to, think about what was my man that was with you at Oklahoma that left it with the South Carolina?
Spencer Rattler.
Spencer Rattler was benched against Texas for whatever reason. They didn't like him. They liked the other guy, Caleb. He goes to South Carolina. He didn't increase his draft stock. He's still in the National Football League because he's capable of playing quarterback in the National Football League. But his stock didn't all of a sudden rise.
Yes.
He could have stayed at Oklahoma and took his shot with the new head coach. He decided to leave. I'll say this. Jordan Addison won the Biletnikoff at Pitt. He came to SC. He didn't win the Biletnikoff. In fact, he got hurt a couple times throughout the year. His draft stock dropped. Had he stayed at Pitt, it wouldn't have mattered. It would have been the same thing. It would have been the same thing. He'd have got drafted where he got drafted at. Don't chase the bag is all I'm saying. Don't do it. The big bag is when you play well and get to the NFL. That's where the money's at.
We're going to agree to disagree on this.
That's cool.
Just 13 1099s in 2019. 13. Okay? That's all I'm telling you. When you had to scrape for it, you got a little bit of different perspective. And I think that's why
that's not true, though. It's not, man, let me tell you. Bear Alexander. You know who that is, right?
He been to like
seven
schools.
This is like his 29th school.
Man,
29th school. Okay, he had
High school,
three sacks in the national championship game as a freshman for Georgia. Why would you ever leave Georgia? Why? Why would you ever do it? Makes no sense.
I can give you a reason, but it's not a reason that you like.
Okay, so you go to SC and you get allegedly $250,000, $300,000. You go there, they recruit you through the portal because they need beef up front. But you already had playing time and you was getting ready to be the man on the defensive line at Georgia.
He wanted that money right now.
That's stupid,
he
though,
wanted it
Keyshawn.
right now. Okay, well,
That's
you're
small
asking
thinking.
why. I'll give you that.
Now you transferring to Penn State that just needs your body.
You don't think he'll get drafted?
I don't know what he'll turn out to be.
But
why keep risk versus reward?
Yeah.
Risk versus reward. You always got to remember that.
I think that's where the disconnect is. So I think the reward is getting paid, right? You think the reward is being the man in Georgia.
Yes, because you're going to get the same money from Georgia. That's my whole point.
If you were going to get the same money from Georgia, why leave?
Why leave?
Well, because you weren't going to get the same money.
No, he was, well, put it this way. I
Not
know.
Too much.
Yeah,
Not too much now.
I know what he was getting at Georgia, and I know what he got at USC. Let's just put it that way. Let's just, you know, look, man, you can't think like an 18, 19-year-old kid at 18 and 19.
I was going to say, he's 18, 19.
You can't think that way. You got to think about the future and what's ahead. That's what these kids, and think about this for a minute, RJ. Not many top players go into the portal unless they have to based on eligibility and they get an extra year. Dudes that go into the portal is either not being utilized correctly or not playing at all, and they go into the portal. Dudes that are stars at their schools, they don't go into no portal. They just don't. Don't.
Yes, they do.
Who?
Yes, they do.
So let's talk about it. So
I'm Travis
USC,
Hunter and Shador. I'm going with my daddy.
So Zachariah Branch just announced that he's transferring the last 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
Do you think that the reason why he was transferring is because they weren't utilizing him, or why do you think
they didn't utilize him correctly? He's a gadget player that wasn't gadgeting. For whatever reason, the gadgets wasn't working. That's what he was. And so when your coaches don't live up to their promises, the frustration sets in and you decide, I'm not going to be utilized. I said this to you and RJ at the top of the show. I believe personally, with my own eyes as a receiver and expertise, that, and I've seen them all, Deuce Robinson was probably, in my opinion, the most talented big receiver that SC's had since I left. And they were not using this man correctly.
And he's transferring, right?
And he decided, I'm getting up out of there because they were not using him correctly. That's just my opinion. He's not leaving for the money. He's leaving for the opportunity to develop so he can go get the big money at the big school, which is called the NFL.
What do you think, RJ?
The representatives of one Michael Pittman and Drake London can send all of their fan mail to Keyshawn Johnson.
Hey, RJ. Not even close to being the same. Not even close to being
Dwayne Jarrett
the same.
can send all of their fan mail to Keyshawn Johnson.
Not even close to being. I said the most talented big receiver since I left. Doesn't mean
Kyle
they
Ford's
weren't
looking
successful.
at you like, yo, dog, I'm right here.
Doesn't mean they wasn't successful in college. I'm just talking about what this dude could have been if they utilized him the right way. That's all. Those are good. The Mike Williams, all them dudes was good players. There's no question about it. They on our top list as receivers. There's no question about it.
What about Juju?
I think Juju should have been playing baseball.
Juju should have played safety. But
Yeah,
they're all good. This dude, though, could have been special for the Trojans. But they didn't treat it special. That's all I'm saying.
So Bo Prabula announced he was entering the transfer portal 6 days before their first playoff game versus SMU. James Franklin came to his defense and said that he felt he had no choice, saying that he has to have the transfer portal / free agency going right in the middle of the playoffs, and there's a lot of things that don't really make sense about it. What do you guys think? Do you think that the transfer portal should be open before the season is even over, and do you think that needs to change?
RJ?
I think that we have a fix for this we don't want to use. I think if you can hire and fire coaches at any time, kids should be able to transfer at any time. I don't care for what reason. I don't care about hardship. I don't care when the time period is. If you are playing the college football playoff and you really want to get this done, you just extend the window for players that are on rosters in the college football playoffs so that they don't have to make this decision. Malik Murphy did this last year. Bo Pribble is going to do it this year. It'll happen again in the following year. But here's my real issue. James Franklin didn't need to go stand on a table for this. All he needed to go was say, hey, doesn't Indiana have an offensive coordinator that's going to be the next offensive coordinator at UCLA and everything's fine? Why can't that be the case for us as well?
Yeah.
Because no, you don't want to go into the transfer portal, but ain't nobody kicking him off that team either. He's going to play, or he can play, is my idea. That's what I think. I think that this is also people conveniently beating up on a calendar when they don't really have a solution that is except to say simplifying it down to one person should be able to make a decision. Well, you don't want one person to just make a decision. That's why we have this thing called the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. I don't think that this is the big deal that it has to be. That said, Bo is behind Drew Aller. And who has Drew Aller beaten as quarterback? Just because he's coming back in 2025 doesn't mean that you can't beat him out in 2025.
Yeah, and that's very true. But why am I sitting behind a dude that I know that I'm better than, but for whatever reason, I'm not getting the opportunity to play? So I need to go somewhere that will give me the opportunity to be the frontline guy. That's
Drew Aller's been starting since he was a freshman.
But that's my whole point. If I think I'm better than him and I'm not getting those opportunities, for me to believe that you are going to play me by the time I'm a damn senior, I want to play now. I want to play
flashes,
now.
I guess. He's had
I don't want to come in when he gets hurt and throw the ball 1-2 times and run the football on goal line. I want to play. So guys transfer in the portal because they can. Just like coaches leave to go to other programs before bowl games, they leave their teams high and dry. Oh, well, you got to coach them now because I'm going to recruit for the other school. So what's the difference?
I think it's a false premise because I think it assumes that James Franklin and Andy Kotelnicki aren't playing the best player at quarterback. And I'm not that disingenuous. I'm not that cynical.
No,
about
I'm
this.
not. All I'm saying is the kid may feel he's better. He
He
may
might.
feel.
He
When
might,
I got to
but there's
college,
also
when I got to college, I was replacing a dude named Johnny Morton. You know who Johnny Morton is? Yeah, every single record at USC I got on campus. And you know what they told me when I first landed on campus? Man, it's gonna be hard. I said, man, that shit'll be going down in a year. I ain't even worried about that. A year later, whose name was up on all the single season records? That's my whole
Keyshawn,
point.
that's you.
No, but
Keyshawn,
you gotta think think a certain way though, dog. You can't be looking. You gotta think a certain way.
Keyshawn, come on now. I got the mentality of a man that's 6'5", 250 and bulletproof. That don't make me such. Okay?
Well, I mean, that dude
like
might
be
think
real
he's
about
better
this. Be
though,
real about
man.
this. If Bo is a better quarterback, he would start because the film would be there. The practice film would be there. He would start, but he's not starting.
But maybe
the film is not there.
But maybe he doesn't communicate with the coaching staff. See, as you've been around college football a long time. I played it. My son played it. We all been around it. Sports in general. It ain't always just about your talent.
Yeah.
There's other things that factor into whether or not an individual is going to play. Talent is one ingredient that's important. But if you do things a certain way, we could self-preservation, I'm going to hold him off for a year, whatever the case may be. Every single time, it ain't always about the talent. I'm just telling you. It ain't. Sometimes coaches see things that they may not like. And then other guys transfer and go to other schools and they become first-round picks. I've seen it throughout my life. So this kid wants an opportunity to get on the field.
And James Franklin is standing on the table saying, I would re-recruit him, knowing everything I know, to come back to Penn State. So the issue that you're bringing up is not one.
I think
we
that
don't
sounds
see coaches
good.
standing on the
It
table
sounds
saying,
good.
hey, I didn't want this dude to have to
It
make
sounds
a decision.
good, though, dog. It always, re-recruit him. He's a great young man. They go all do that. That's called cap. That's all that is.
Because he's not playing. I mean,
cynical. That's cynical.
Just
that's
like you,
cynical.
like
you want us to trust him or not?
But when I look at Miller Moss, Miller Moss was good. There's nothing wrong with no fucking Miller Moss, but it's self-preservation. I'm gonna make it seem like Miller Moss is all that bad in this, that, and the other. So I'm gonna get rid of him after the Washington game, and I'm gonna play the other dude that threw 2 picks against Notre Dame in the end zone. That really made a whole lot of sense.
100 yards. Crazy.
Yeah,
2 pick sixes.
I think. Wait. We got Miller Moss staring down Kyron Hudson. Okay. And we got a Jaden Mayava who can take care of himself with a crappy offensive line. For me, that was just going, hey, I got to play the guy that can run around back there because I can't protect him.
I ain't going for it. Ain't going to go for it. Ain't going to fall for it. Banana in the tailpipe. It ain't happening. I know what I see when I see it. I'm stubborn, and I know what I see when I see it. That's just it, RJ. I get it. I get it. Players transfer, all those sort of things. But a lot of it sometimes is different than what they selling you. That's all I'm going to tell you, dog.
I think that, man, and it's difficult to have those conversations out loud, right?
Drew McCoy couldn't play for us at USC. Oh, he's not good. Motherfucker go to Tennessee, he a world beater.
Alert. Yeah.
Huh?
He's a baller when he goes
That's
to
all
Tennessee.
I'm saying,
yeah,
but I don't even want to.
Out of nowhere, he can't.
Yeah, because I see it different.
It's situational, though.
I just see it different. That's all.
But
Dude couldn't get on the field. They couldn't get on the field. I'm keeping it a buck. Go to Tennessee, they know what to do with him. He could have stuck around USC.
Do you know where Brew first committed to play football?
1,000 places. Texas, Oklahoma, Texas. I get it.
You know where he signed?
I get it. He did Oklahoma State and Sacramento State. He went to every school in America. I understand.
But it wasn't about talent.
It wasn't about
it's not just
talent. But and ultimately, he wound up at USC. Regardless if he did the back and forth, he wound up at USC. Okay? And then they wouldn't play him, so he said deuces. What?
I don't see it that way.
All right, that's fair.
I don't see it that way. That's all. I don't see it that way. Brew could have done whatever Brew wanted to do. Brew was #1 athlete.
Yeah.
Wide receiver, pass rush. Hell, Nick Saban wanted him to come off the edge. You know what I mean?
He
didn't
could
wanna
have
do that.
too. He's
He
6'5".
didn't do
Doing
that.
cool now.
That boy swore up and down. He's a wide receiver. All right, cool. You a wide receiver. So he was a wide receiver at SC. Look, I think there's a lot to say about what it is that the player wants. And there's a lot to say about what it is that the team wants from the player. And what you're talking about is fit, right? He fits at Tennessee. He didn't fit at USC.
Man, he fit at
And
USC
it feels like
too. They
you're
just
finding
didn't know
more
what the hell
dudes
to
that
do
don't
with
fit at USC than do fit at USC. And that is a USC problem. That's not a us problem.
Man, be quiet, because y'all wasted so much talent in Oklahoma. Don't even get me started on you.
Seem to be doing about the same as SC with the same dude.
Yeah, literally.
Ooh, which reminds me, Deion won 9 games.
But not no Big 12 championship. So where's my jersey?
He should have actually won 10.
Don't sidestep it. Where's my jersey?
Yeah, I
He
guess he
won
gets a
9.
jersey.
No.
That
Big
was
12
Big 12
championship.
I
That's what you
remember.
told
No,
me.
I said bowl game 9.
We got it on camera.
Dog, we gonna run the tape. We gonna run the tape. I got you.
No, but
Hey, put it this way.
I'll put it. I'm gonna put it right up over here. Put it right over here. Everybody can see
He
it.
was goddamn close. You was sitting there. Look, you was sitting there on that final day. Arizona State need to win. BYU. He was sitting there going.
You know what? Hey,
He was going-
Keyshawn, when you went #1 overall and I touched the TV, I was damn close, wasn't I?
all right, but we
You know
got
what I'm saying? You know
last
what I'm
thing.
saying?
We got a little, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Last thing,
It's
we got
all
a little bit of breaking news. Well, actually, it's breaking news. So Michael Vick just signed. He's the new head coach for Norfolk State.
Oh, congrats, Mike Vick. That's what's up, my dude.
Yeah. So
Let's
that's
go.
good. I know you guys want to.
What's they called? The Panthers? No, what are they? They something. Are they the
I couldn't
Panthers?
tell you. I'm gonna be
The
completely
Norfolk-
honest.
I think they're the
You got me, dog.
Panthers.
You got me.
Somebody help me.
Yeah. well,
Norfolk what? Spartans.
Okay.
That's close enough. Panthers, Spartans, same
Not
thing.
at all. But
Yeah.
that's all we got. It's just Michael Vick. Congratulations.
Congrats, man.
Hey,
Let's go do it.
Hey, that's what I'm saying, man. Like my face screwed up and melted because I'm like, ooh, now he in it. now he in it. Now I'm in it.
Yeah.
Now I gotta feel everything Mike Vick feel it.
Yeah, but the great thing about it is I'm going to support him. You know what I'm saying? Just like I went to prime games
100%,
and practices, I'm going to find my way to Virginia and go to a practice or a game. Same thing with Eddie George, Tennessee State. I'm going to find my way to a practice of the game. I'm just glad to see that he's getting an opportunity to do something that he probably has been wanting to do the entire time. Remember what I said. Got to give him an opportunity and a chance. If no opportunity is given, we have no idea what he could do.
Right. He's getting the opportunity.
He's
now,
getting the
which is
opportunity.
beautiful.
So hats off to Norfolk, Virginia State. I think I said that right?
Yeah.
No, Norfolk, Virginia is
It's
Norfolk
State.
Norfolk State.
State.
No Virginia in there. Other than it is in Virginia.
Yeah.
All right, that's
There
a
you go.
wrap for today's show. Thanks again to my man RJ Oklahoma Suitor
right.
Young for joining the show. Be sure to follow All Facts Pod on social media and subscribe on YouTube. Until next time, peace out.